Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of First and Ted. Sorry I was away last week. I was dealing with the COVID thing. Still not 100%. But this is Eagles week, so we got to talk Eagles 49ers. I want to get Ted's thoughts on the uh, previous games, but just overall the 49ers, how good they were playing the last couple games. And Eagles week is this is probably the most important game for the 49ers season for a litany of reasons. One, if they win, they have, the tiebreaker. If they'd end up having the same record at the end of the season as the Eagles, for home field and stuff. And two, I think this is a psychological thing for the 49ers after that NFC championship game. Really that route because we didn't have a quarterback. Is it going to matter this time now that we have a quarterback, or is it going to be the same kind of outcome? So, first, before anything, Ted, how are you? Uh, Thank you for not abandoning me after 1 week of sickness. Thanks for holding it down. Not really on the show, but like just holding it down on YouTube per se.
Yeah, absolutely. Just glad to hear that you're feeling a little bit better. And if you decide you need to cut it a little short, I will understand completely. I just appreciate you making the effort. Missed you last week, but yeah, COVID's a pretty good excuse for being absent. So I'll let you slide. If you provide a doctor's note, then I'll let you slide this time. So.
Speaking of a doctor's note, tomorrow I'm going to see the orthopedic doctor for my knee. So with me, it's like I'm like Job in the Bible. It's just one calamity after another. Somebody's like, "How do you have all these problems?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's my life." um,
Well, best of luck with that.
Thank you. Red Jets in the house. We got Bashar, 49er minded. We have Nancy Cameron in the house. Sorry if I'm a little slow, guys. Red Jet says, Aaron, you sound like an eagle. Feel better, champ. Or fast. Feel better, fast, champ. Thank you. Laura Cat says, Aaron, I missed you. Welcome back. I appreciate that. Appreciate you guys. Dynamite Dave says, Yo, Ted, Niners all day, brother. I had to do the Hulk Hogan. Okay. So it was kind of nice to not to worry about streaming, but I didn't enjoy any of the games because I was sick. You know what I mean? It'd be different if I could just sit there and relax and watch the games, but I was sick during both of them. So I was kind of um I did everything I could to be present watching the games, and I was really happy. But right after the game, it was just like right back to just death. I was just like, I couldn't breathe. It was like, my head was pounding, my skin was crawling. I was hot, I was cold, I was coughing. I wasn't coughing. I had a sore throat. I didn't have a. I mean, it was like the most bipolar thing I've ever dealt with in my life. But the Niners winning and keeping the thing going, doing the thing, doing the stuff, kicking ass. It was good. So I'm happy that we get to talk before the Eagles game. I guess I'll start with the question that is kind of on my list over here. Is this game the biggest game of the year? And is it time for the 49ers to put up and shut up? I saw something with what's his name? Jason Aponte. I forgot who he was talking to. And he made a good point about, the Niners did a lot of talking after that championship game last year for all the reasons that they lost. So is this kind of a time to, shut your mouth and go out and perform and, put a whooping on these Eagles?
Yeah, it's definitely the game of the year. These are the two best teams in the NFL right now. Two of the best records. They're hot. We're hot. Do it in different ways. The Niners, as we've discussed many times, are definitely front runners.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll need to do that in this game. I think we'll need to get out to a pretty comfy lead, and they'll probably chip away at it towards the end. But hopefully it's big enough that they can't, come back and beat us. As far as put up or shut up time, absolutely. Devo did a lot of talking and said a lot of things, including like that it wouldn't have been close if Purdy had played. Like, come on. I don't even know if I agree with that. In fact, I know I don't. We've been talking all off season. I said if Purdy was healthy, I had us as 50-50 against the Eagles last year. Whoever had the ball last probably wins, or whoever has the last defensive stop or whatever probably wins. So yeah, there's a lot of talk that needs to be backed up. And, it's like they say that it doesn't really matter who wins this one. All that matters is the NFC Championship game. But it's hard to imagine rolling into the NFC Championship game with much confidence after going 0-2 to Philly, especially 0-1 with Brock Purdy healthy, assuming that he can stay healthy for this game, which I think he will.
I always thought that they had a chance last year, but like you said, it wasn't a guarantee they were going to win that game. I definitely think it would have been closer than 31-7 or whatever the final score ended up being, because it was pretty lopsided. They didn't have a quarterback. I mean, there's nothing you could do. Like, they literally did not have a quarterback. And people are like, oh, that's an excuse. Nah, it's reality. It wasn't an excuse. It was a reality.
Well, especially when our D and run game kept us in it till pretty deep into the third quarter. So.
Yeah, and then it's just like you're on the field. Yeah, that was just an odd, never before happened type of thing. And I think a lot of 49er fans were just like, man, if we just had a even playing field with these guys, that maybe something would be different. To me, it is definitely the most important game of the 49ers season. I think it's the biggest game of the Eagles season, as far as it's the first time they're really playing a comparable opponent. I mean, they played well they beat Kansas City, but like, some of these games the Eagles play, they're all at home, and like the teams are struggling. Like the Bills don't have much of an offense, other than Josh Allen. There's just to me, the biggest thing is that why is it can they get a road game once in a while? Like, why does every game have to be in Philadelphia? Like, why does Philadelphia get all the home games this year? You already know that we're going to have a challenge on our hands just based on the team we're playing. And now we have the referees, now their weather, all that other stuff. Did you hear about how the weather's supposedly going to affect this game? Are you concerned about Brock Purdy after how he struggled in the rain in Cleveland?
Absolutely. I've been talking that weather report. On Monday, it was 30% chance of rain. Yesterday, it went up to 50% while I was doing my shows. And then last night, as high as 70%. I think last I saw today, it was 80%. So it just keeps going up, which is not good if you're like me and you think that Brock Purdy is a fair weather quarterback. That is far from ideal, my friend. So yeah, I mean, but it is interesting that we're favored. I mean, I think we're hotter. I think we've blown out some really good teams like the Jags, the Cowboys, the Steelers. I mean, the Steelers clearly were not good when we played them, but they've turned into a good team. I guess now it's back to 70%. So
you bet you play who's on your schedule.
Yeah.
And you don't apologize for who you play. Who, regardless of who's healthy, who's not. Many times in the past, we've been unhealthy and we went into play teams. Nobody on the national broadcast said, well, the 49ers are missing this guy and this guy. So if they lose, it's not really their fault. It's like, no, you can play who you have and you go from there. I really think that the 49ers, other than the Eagles, are the best team in the NFL. I think the Eagles, until they're dethroned as NFC champs, they have the right to be called the best team in the NFC and in the NFL. That doesn't mean anything, though, because they didn't win the Super Bowl either last year. They asked Nick Bosa about the game, and he was like, we both lost. So, neither team is like, yeah, we won the they didn't win the championship. The Niners didn't win the championship last year. So it's for both of them, the game is just as important, really, if you think about it. Like, they lost to Kansas City in the Super Bowl. The Niners lost to the eventual team that lost to the eventual winner. So it's the Eagles are they were better than us in that game. Technically right now they're better than us because they have a better record and whatever, but the Niners have a chance to change the momentum of the conversation. One way to do that, as we transition into my next topic, is the Chase Young effect. The 49ers in the last 3 games have 15 sacks. 15 sacks. That's humongous. I think what they have 18 the first 8 weeks of the year, I think. And then in the last 3 weeks, they had 15. And it's just been, Ted, it's been like a completely different defensive line. I don't know if they just feel energized. I don't know if guys are playing in their proper positions. Depth guys are now depth guys and not starters. What's your take on that? I mean, I'm all for just hopefully they can stay healthy because it's been pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, I think Chase Young clearly has had an impact, but also so has moving the corners up and not playing this quasi prevent defense that Wilkes was playing that was allowing 4, 5, 6, 7 yard easy pitch and catch, completions that were if you were patient, you could pick us apart. And I think those days are over. And I think it might be bigger than Chase Young himself.
So you're saying that the reconfiguration of the defensive line or reconfiguration of the secondary may be just as important as the addition of Chase Young on the defensive line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you have
also Isaiah Oliver on the bench is huge. Like those two,
huge. What a difference!
Those two are huge. Chase Young, I think, is big, but I think either or both of the others having to do with the secondary might actually be bigger.
Yeah, Amador Lenore has been playing in the slot. The slot has been almost non-existent. Ambry, I'm pleasantly surprised how well he's been playing. I have my reservations about Ambry Thomas, but when he plays boundary corner and he uses the boundary, he's effective. And go ahead.
I was to say he was terrible in camp, but then he started to come around in some of the preseason games and seems to have just been building off of that ever since. So good for him. It's good to see because he and I'm blanking on the other guy's name now, who's gone. What's that?
Talanoa Hufanga?
Oh, no. It was a guy who didn't make the 53. It was a defensive back, cornerback. And there was one point where most of Brock Purdy's completions were against Ambry Thomas and this other guy. And I was sort of discounting the validity of those because those guys were burnt toast all through camp. But Ambry has acquitted himself nicely in the regular season. So good for him.
Yeah, it was like the perfect combination of both. Secondary and defensive line have been playing lights out. They're going to get a real test, though. This is one of the best, group of weapons next to the 49ers with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I don't think this is going to be an easy game for the 49ers. I think the Niners will struggle at times in this game, but I think the Niners have enough firepower offensively to compete with this team. It's just a matter of the offensive line holding up in this game. If the offensive line holds up in the run and pass game, I think the 49ers have a really good chance of going into Philly and beating them. I really do. And I think Brock Purdy is going to be a big part of that. I know you are not high on Brock Purdy like I am, but I think he's been the difference maker this season for sure. I think
I got him up to 5 to 8.
I don't rank him. I think the ranking is foolish. I think it's a waste of time and it's a narrative push. That's what I think it is.
And somebody said, "Well, isn't 5 to 8 elite?" And I said, 6, 7, and 8 aren't. So.
He's not elite yet. I don't want people to say that he is. Elite comes, you know what elite comes with? Championships, winning Super Bowls. That's what elite comes with.
I mean,
playoff runs on his shoulders.
If he puts it on the Eagles, I might have to drop the E word. I'm preparing.
I just think a lot of people are so enamored again with size and arm strength. And then you go and you look at the Chargers, and their quarterback is a perfect example of all shine. He's got all the tools, but he's a choke artist. He can't win big games, and he has tons of weapons. They're loaded. The Chargers. So, I think we've gotten to a point now where, like, if we're still picking apart Brock every single game, it really has to do with the fact that someone was a Trey Lance fan, and they're still mad. They're still mad in December that Trey Lance is no longer the quarterback of this team. And to me, Trey Lance wouldn't have been able to run this offense to the level it's been. I think the Niners would have a way worse record, and I think he would have been benched at some point. He just this offense runs as best as it's ever been ran with Brock Purdy as the quarterback, and it's not even a question. It's not even a question. Garoppolo ran this offense okay at times, but this is as efficient as I've ever seen. This is as close to Matt Ryan as we're going to get with a quarterback that's Brock's size and Brock's, physical traits. As far as scoring points on a consistent basis, I mean, the offense just moves the ball. They get yards. It's not, and it's not all flash. They actually score. You know what I mean? So, um, like Bashar said, the offensive runs like clockwork. It's the best it's ever been ran in a long, long time. So Herbert's got the big arm, long hair. Yeah, he's got the acne. He's got the acne too. But I'm gonna push. I'm gonna push back on you with Brock Purdy. I will push back because I think it makes for good. I think it makes for good content because I know you just will not. He has to do a lot of things for you to be won over, like win a Super Bowl and have an MVP season and do a lot of things. And I'm not saying that I'm sold that he's the greatest thing that the 49ers have ever had. And I'm not saying that he is the future 10 years from now quarterback, but I think for what we're doing right now, I think he's the best we've had in a really long time. And I have all the confidence in the world that outside the Philadelphia Eagles, who in the NFC is a real challenge to the 49ers?
Cowboys, maybe.
Okay.
Lions, maybe.
Okay. But I think the Niners can score points with both of those teams. And I think the Niners have proven with Dallas that they can move the ball and score on them. It'd be up to the 49ers defense. And I think the Niners defense right now is playing as well as it has been. So
there you go. Somebody asked me if it was Hawkins. I think that's Taylor Hawkins, the safety. No, he was a corner, and I was looking it up to try and find him, but I couldn't find him. So, but it was Jason Captain Niner Massey. I guess he got a Niners captain hat, so now his whole persona's changed. He's no longer Niner Smash Massey. He's Captain Niner Massey. So, but still Niners Faithful Radio. So check out his channel.
Jet says we just have to stay focused mindset. Should we lose, at least we lose with then just laying down and dying. Yeah, I mean it's a possibility they do lose this Sunday. It's a really good team. They're the NFC champs, so I mean it's not like we're going in there and sneaking up on them. That's not going to happen. They can give the Niners all the praise they want. Sirianni, I don't buy any of it. I don't buy any nice things that has been said about the 49ers by anybody on that side. Sorry. I am concerned about the weather, just like you. But I mean, it could have been a one-off with the Browns, but I mean, it is something. I mean, does he wear a glove? Like what's the catch here? To the 49ers not to have a repeat performance like they did against Cleveland. Do you agree? You're probably not going to agree, but see, I think that with Brock Purdy, the goalposts keep moving. The goalposts keep moving. Every time he accomplishes something, now he has to do this in order to be elite. Now he has to do this. Because
you remember what I said when you had the Super Bowl thing up, and I said, with this squad, you got to win it all or win with less. So he had a chance to win with less. He didn't when Debo and Trent Williams were out and CMC was dinged up. So now he'll have a chance to do some things this weekend. He'll have a chance to win in the rain. It looks like, if the weather holds, looks like he'll have a chance maybe to come back against a really outstanding team where, the Raiders in 2022 had the worst defense in the NFL. I guess the Eagles D isn't very good right now. I think they're bottom third. I think they're like 22nd in the NFL, which is kind of.
They're like almost last in the league against tight ends too.
Yeah, and that's another important thing. You mentioned that they have the best weapons along with us, but they don't because they don't have Dallas Goedert. He missed the walkthrough today, so I think it's pretty safe to say that he won't be playing. But I guess we'll see. We'll know more. Wednesday's still early to write anybody off, but they got to get him off IR, and I don't know that they have done that yet. But yeah, so there's gonna be some chances for Brock to, kick it through some of these goals so people can move him further back, I suppose.
So are you still not sold on Brock all this time later? Do you still think he's just
all the time? That's why, I got him at my highest ranking of the season. I had him at 6-9 after the Cowboys. I then had him at 6-9 again after the Bucks, and then after Seahawks on Thanksgiving, I had to bump him up again, even though he had the interception and it was 2 bad throws in a row where he threw it high on our goal line. You know, that's
I feel like
limited height.
I feel
It's
like
the
that's
limited height
nitpicking.
thing that we've been talking about all along. You know, he was trying to, you know, get the ball over the line, and just he's not tall enough to throw down. You know, he has to throw up, and it just, you know, and he did kind of throw up. He puked all over himself and threw a pick six, but it did go off the hands of the receiver, so it's not like totally his fault, I will say. And yeah, I mean, he's doing great things. The one thing that cheesed me off this week, or was it last week, I guess? No, it was this week, was Coach Yak putting up the throw to Kittle where you know, Brock rolled out to his right and he threw to Kittle down the sideline, and like look at how many air yards that is, and you know, where are the people that are calling him noodle arm now? And I'm like, dude, he threw it late, he threw it high, and Kittle got pushed out of bounds, and it wasn't a catch. So like, why are you using this as an example of like something to like make people eat their words when like it's not even a flipping completion? And if he had a rocket arm, it might have been, or if he'd thrown it on time, it might have been. Two different ways that could have been a completion, and it wasn't. So that upset me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, anything that's like way out of line one way or the other is going to bug me about it. But no, I mean, I'm coming around on Brock more and more all the time, and I started out in the offseason saying I liked him a lot, so I like him even more than a lot now. So
Do you really though?
Oh,
Do you really?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
You know who is a big not? You know
he
who
throws
was
with great anticipation. He makes great decisions. We are. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to, you know, find fault. The only thing you can find fault is just that we have the best weapons, and we have Kyle calling the plays, and we have CMC. You know, not only just the best weapons, but the best running back, and in Kyle's system, that's so huge. But and you just look at Jimmy, right? You know what happened to Jimmy, where he led the league in interceptions before he got benched, and he was also leading the league in not throwing TDs. And that was what, you know, the interceptions was with like one less game than everybody else at one point. So you're just like, wow, that's really, really bad. And so just like when you leave the friendly confines of the 49ers, bad things happen. And I think bad things would happen to Brock too, just not as bad, you know. And he's clearly improved since last year. Like when I said they were eerily similar last year, like Brock's playing better now than he played in 2022. You know, some of these games, the Cowboys game and the Jags game, and you know, he's these supposedly perfect game, which I didn't think was perfect, but it was good. It was really good, and it's just all building on itself, and getting harder and harder not to call him elite, honestly, especially with Burrow out, you know, with Josh Allen playing less well. But I will say some of the Eagles content creators I had on were saying they'd take Josh Allen over Jalen Hurts, and I said I would definitely take him over Brock Purdy. You know, the guy's a beast, and he's got literally one elite weapon in Stephon Diggs, just like Mahomes only has one elite weapon in Travis Kelce, and it matters. So, you know, again,
the way he's playing right now? The way he's playing right now.
If you're paying Purdy $55 million a year, what would our team look like around him, and what would Purdy look like without all the Avengers? And we got a little taste of it in that 3-game losing streak.
Does a lot of it have to do with the fact that Trey Lance didn't make this squad? And then
I feel like it was the hyperbole. It was always the hyperbole. It was always the comparing him to Montana, Brady, Mahomes, Josh Allen. But I will say that the hyperbole is becoming less and less hyperbole. The more he plays well, the more you have to start making these comparisons. So,
because me and Bash have talked incessantly offline about how Bash was not happy when Trey Lance was traded. Right? He was.
Me neither.
He didn't think he gave it a fair shot.
He wasn't.
This, that,
he never got to play with CMC. Come on.
I personally think, and this is coming from me, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And I think the Niners were less impressed with Trey Lance than we realized. And they were Way less impressed with how far along he is in his progression as a quarterback. And I just, I don't know.
I'll tell you one thing.
He wasn't good enough. He wasn't good enough to beat out a guy who was drafted last in the NFL draft. Who played 4 years. Like to me,
now we're saying there's less than 10 quarterbacks maybe in the NFL who can beat him out. So that's not that damning for a guy who's only played 5 games. But all right, here's one thing I've noticed about Trey Lance. And I don't know, tell me what you think. But do you remember when like he and was it Kinlaw? I forget who it was, but he and someone else went and they got like the grills, like with the gold teeth full of diamonds, and he got like a Bentley, and I'm pretty sure he got a fancy house. And it's just like I think there might have been a little bit too much of like life as a destination type of mentality with him, and not like life as a journey. In other words, like you never arrive, you always got to keep fighting and clawing and scratching. Some people are going to always be grinding and always be hustling no matter what. And some people, when they get what they want, they just take their foot off the gas and like, hey, I made it. I'm here. It's all gravy. And I think some people thought that about Bosa and Debo when they got their deals. Luckily, they're starting to prove those people wrong again.
So. I was definitely a little upset about Bosa before Chase Young got here. Of like, what are you doing, dude? Are you sleeping? Like, what's happening this season? I just think that Brock, because of his size, because of the lack of elite traits, the fact that he was drafted where he was drafted, he will always have an axe to grind. He'll always have something to prove. And his teammates, they've said that when he hears like stuff that's negative towards him, it pisses them off. So, I mean, he's going to hear that his whole career. He's always going to have the yeah, buts. Yeah, but he was on another team. Yeah, he wouldn't be that good. Or yeah, but he, it's just like, it's never going to stop with Brock because Brock is small and Brock has a small arm and he's, he doesn't look like an NFL starting quarterback who's not 6'5". He doesn't have a rocket arm. But to me, I keep saying to people, like, we're sitting here picking at stuff. We're picking at everything. We're psychoanalyzing everything. And yet the 49ers just keep fucking winning every single freaking week. They have a really good team that has a chance to go to a Super Bowl. And I choose personally not to sit and waste time nitpicking who's what and what they're rated. I'm just enjoying the ride. And me and Bash talk about that. Just enjoying the ride. Like, fuck all this other stuff that's being talked about all the time. Like, to me, it feels like people aren't like living within the moment. And like, they're thinking about, well, what's he going to look like to the outside comparison? What is this outside person going to think? Are they going to think he's elite? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm so locked in because they have such a good team. They're so well coached. I am so much of a critic, and I always break stuff down in my head and never allow myself to like, kind of like release and breathe and enjoy the process. But it's all I'm doing. And I feel like, to me, does it stress you out that you're always like looking at Brock and kind of like always kind of reevaluating him from week to week, or do you enjoy it? Because to me, it would stress me out.
I mean, I want to get it right? I don't want to like put him too high. I don't want to put him too low. So there's a little bit of stress involved with it. I always like to check and see what Kurt Benkert has said because he's pretty closely mirrored me on most of my rankings. So I'm going to take a look right now if I can look it up. But yeah, it adds a little bit of stress. But to me, it's just like, I think at some point it'll be silly to keep doing it on a weekly basis. I think it'll just start to stick wherever it is. But, right now the body of work is so small, and this season, the fluctuations have been so great that it really felt necessary to me to update them on a weekly basis. Here we go. Week 13 QB power rankings, Kurt Benkert. Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, CJ Stroud. Holy smokes. Number 3, Dak Prescott. Number 4, Lamar Jackson. Number 5, Josh Allen. Number 6, Jalen Hurts. Number 7, Trevor Lawrence. Number 8, Brock Purdy. So Brock has dropped in Kurt Bankert's rankings. I think he was as high as 7 or 6 when I was in the 8 to 12 range. I know when I was 8 to 12, he was at 7. And it's strange to me that he's got Trevor Lawrence ahead. I guess Trevor Lawrence just had a good game against the Texans. But Trevor Lawrence had been kind of floundering, obviously against us. Thanks, Ranked on Motion. I appreciate the super chat. Awesome. Or is that
for
Aaron?
the $2 super?
I guess it's Aaron. Sorry, my bad.
I was going to say thank you, Tom.
But still, thank you for anyone
it.
contributing on our show.
Yes.
I feel like when Aaron makes money, it's me making money too. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's
and sometimes when Aaron makes money, it's because I was supposed to make money, but I didn't.
When they didn't know who to donate to, so they donated to the wrong channel.
$9.99, but you gave me $5 back in a super chat, so we're kind of almost even. So
yeah, me and Ted were doing the thing where we just like keep donating the same $5 back to each other. I think it was like a Beavis and Butthead episode where they kept doing that.
I brought it up and then I dropped the ball, man. I need to get on that. So terrible.
Yeah, I just there's such a finite thing with the NFL and having good teams and going through eras with your team being really competitive and great, right? And having a bunch of great players that I can't do it anymore with Brock. To me, I get a little I've told this I keep talking about Bash, but I said I got a little bit of PTSD from Jimmy anytime the camera pans downfield after a big throw. And Batch is like, I have the exact opposite. He's like, I'm so confident that he's always going to make the throw downfield into coverage and stuff. And it's like, Jimmy still has a place in my brain right now with all of his just like ridiculously bad throws over the middle that like I have to somehow get to myself to a place that as much as I love Brock, like I'm still kind of like,
you have JGSD.
Yeah, it's really it's really scary, but I'm getting better at it. We got Jimmy Perez. He says, "What's up, Ted and Aaron?" Mark Graves says maybe Brock would be number 2 if he played most of his games against losing teams like Dak plays. Exactly, but Dak should not even be on that list. Freaking bum. Sit there and they whoop ass on all these.
Aaron, he's doing well, but you're
against
right.
Bad teams.
Yeah.
Who do they beat? They played us and we whooped their ass. And Brock played great against them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They haven't beat anybody of any worth this year. Every single one of their victories is against sorry ass scrub teams. I cannot. It's just. That's why I hate sports television. If you listen to 49ers content creators, most of them, some of them, not all of them, they're going to tell you what they really think about the Cowboys. And they all know, most Niners content creators, that the Cowboys are nothing but a bunch of frauds. They're frauds. People are like, oh, we should be worried about them. Why? Why we should be worried? I mean, eventually, if you play them enough times, yeah, they might beat us. But like, we're a better team, better coached. I think our quarterback's better. He doesn't have the look or the arm and all the unimportant bullshit that doesn't win you anything.
Definitely better weapons.
I think his weapons are comparable to the 49ers.
No way. CMC is better than Pollard. They don't have
young Dick Dong. Let the Eagles have ass smash all day long and only comes up 2 to 3 times a game. Anyways, let them have it. They won't sniff the goal line. We got the rest of the game. I love your enthusiasm. I was going to call you Long Dick Dong, but Young Dick Dong. But yeah, that tush. Oh man, those are 2 things that get to me. And I want to ask you about this because it is one of my topics. How concerned are you about the damn officiating in this game coming up? Because I'm beyond stressed out about it because, dude, come on now. That Bills game was atrocious.
If I hear "mind of a center" ever again in my life, I will throw something through the TV. Absolutely. That Greg Olson saying that in the NFC Championship game, I believe he said it in the Super Bowl too. I was ready to I was so livid because Lane Johnson was like false starting all the time. He's like, no, he's just got the mind of a center. He's like in tune with the snap count. It's like such
it's
bullshit.
false start. Bullshit.
The freaking false start. So yeah, that concerns me. And yeah, that brotherly shove, tush push, ass smash, whatever we're calling it. That's a concern too. If the game comes down to that, guess what, folks? We're probably going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, barely anyone's ever stopped it. I mean, Fred did kind of jump over the pile and hit Kirk Cousins, but
I'm running feet first. I'm leaning back and jumping feet first right into whoever's there.
There you go.
Jalen
Hurts is a lot different than Kirk Cousins, though, let me tell you. And so is their O-line compared to the Vikings O-line. So, Eagles are the best O-line in football, and especially with Lane Johnson back. It's huge. They have two great tackles. They have one of the best centers in Jason Kelce, and he's the key to that whole thing. He gets so low. So I don't know. I was joking around with Ryan on yesterday on No BS Ted, and I just said, maybe we could put Jason Poe in there, to be our nose tackle to get low since he's so low. And Ryan's always trying to get Jason Poe in. I mean, even though he's not on the roster anymore, but he was when he was on the roster. Ryan was always trying to get him in as like our sixth offensive lineman / tight end who could, catch some passes for us. So, but no, I don't know what the answer is. The answer is don't get in third and short and fourth and short, I guess, which is brutal. Brutal. Absolutely. And especially, when you think we'll probably play a lot of man to cover all their I stole my line. I used to call Purdy a mental giant. I still do. He is a mental giant. He's outstanding. Great decision maker.
I don't even know if that's a compliment, though.
It is.
Is it a compliment? Me and Bash always laugh when we hear he's a mental giant.
Unless he means like you're going mental, like that's not necessarily a compliment.
I don't know.
I think no rant today, so I think we're good. So I forgot what I was talking about.
We were talking about the referees. We're talking about the tush push. We're talking about how much the Eagles get away with during games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Oh, I know what I was talking about how, if we're manned up in coverage to stop their weapons, it's really hard to have a spy to spy Hurts.
Right.
And then, they run everybody deep, and then he, does a quarterback draw on third and long. They've been doing a lot of that lately. That's a concern too. Need to have Stray somehow spy him so that if he does run, he pays a price, a very dear price.
I think the Niners offense plays a factor in how they play defense. Like you said, they're front runners. And I think when we talk about 49ers, and a lot of people are like, what do you mean the Niners are front runners? The Niners played their best ball when they're ahead, where they score on offense, and they're able to pin their ears back on defense, come after the quarterback, no really account for the run game because we're scoring. And like, I feel like the Niners and Kyle, not even just, we want to talk about Brock and his deficiencies, but Kyle deficiency of how to call a game when he's behind. He has problems.
Or even when it's close.
Yeah, it's not even just, it's him. Like the 49ers, when you watch what the 49ers see against the Seahawks, or you watch what the 49ers do these last couple of weeks where they're ahead and they're smashing people and their defense plays the way they did, where they get off the field and then, woo, yeah, everything's great. That's the Niners at the top of their game. That's when they're the hardest to beat. And the Eagles challenge that in every single way. They challenge that in every single way because they have a good defensive line, which means that the Niners running game might struggle. And if the Niners running games might struggle, it means their pass game is going to struggle. And it all just connects. And so the Niners got to come out in that game. Their offensive line has to play the best they've played all season. They have got to get the running game going. They can't have Brock dropping back 35, 40 times in this game because it'll be a mistake.
Eagles run D is good too. Third in the league, I think.
It's there's been a lot of talk, like we said early on, and the only way to talk is going to stop is if the Niners come in and play a really good game. It's weird though. If you watch a lot of the professional people that are covering this, a lot of people are picking the Niners. A lot of people think the Niners are the best team right now, and I'm like, oh, please don't do that. Please doubt us. You know what I mean? I want to go in there and shock people. And now that people are actually picking the Niners, I feel like we might lose. So, and when I say like lose, I don't mean like Brock's gonna suck and he's exposed. Well, there it is. Finally, after 2 years or a year and 3/4, I just think the Eagles have a chance. They're the one team that has a chance to really kind of hurt the Niners in a multitude of ways. You know what I mean? So
we're up to 3-point favorites right now.
It's so crazy. Like, how the heck are we favorites? We lost the freaking conference championship game last year. It just doesn't make any sense. But
they lost a lot of players. They lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost Hargrave, and they lost Hargrave to us. We got Chase Young. Brock Purdy's playing better.
Nick Wright says Baker Mayfield can do a better job as 40. Oh, get the fuck out of here.
That's just
really
hot takes at this point.
Really? Once again, doubting Purdy. Anybody else can do it. Yeah, if that's the case, how come anybody else who's been in that position on that team to play quarterback hasn't? Trey couldn't. Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't. None of them could. Brock is the perfect mix for this offense, and then people are going to keep taking shots. That's all right. Yep. Like young Dick Dong. Purdy is exposing the casuals. Yep. The fake fans. Basher showing me some clips of these idiots that we're saying that we needed. This is when people are dumb fans and they don't really love the 49ers. Making comments like we needed to fire Kyle Shanahan after I don't know if it was after we traded trade to the Cowboys, and that we needed to bring back Harbaugh. Yeah.
I'm glad I never said anything like that.
He sent me some clips of somebody just being really stupid and just saying really stupid things because they're mad because Trey got traded. To me, the thing that really gets me about the whole thing with Trey is when did he ever show any of this ability that everybody claims that he has? My brother made the perfect point. He's like, Aaron, he got hurt. That's what killed his career. He got hurt.
He showed flashes pretty much every time he played, but then wild inconsistency to go with it. And the thought was that if he got more reps, that the inconsistency would go away. But no way to prove that.
Him getting hurt last season, Ted, was the end of his career as a 49er. I really believe that. I just think we would have never saw Brock if he stayed, unless he really stunk up the joint, right? But him getting hurt, and he became expendable. The Niners were like, wow, Brock's really good. He runs this offense the way we want it to run, and he's cheap, and he's controllable. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was just, this is going to be forever. Every time Brock has a bad game or struggles, it's going to be, what was the one that me and Bash were talking about? We saw, I showed him a screenshot of someone saying we needed to trade back with them and with the Cowboys and get Trey Lance back during the 3-game losing streak because Brock wasn't the guy. We needed to bring him back to the team. Yeah.
Glad I never said that.
Just unbelievable. There's just so many bad takes out there. Just so many.
I was very careful not to bash Brock because it took me a while to jump on the train. So I wasn't going to jump off over 3 games when we weren't at full strength.
Yeah, I think he played bad in those games.
I mean, I did downgrade him, on my weekly rankings. I went from 6 to 9 to 8 to 12 after the Browns game, and I would have gone 11 to 15 after the Vikings, but the concussion came before the interception, so I gave him a pass there. But then, bumped him down to 11 to 15 after the Bengals, which was as low as he's been since the Giants game. So,
how long can I ask you a question? How long do you want to keep rating him? Is it going to be for his whole career? Or is it? Are you?
Body of work is bigger, and till the variability goes away until he starts playing more consistently for longer stretches. But yeah, what I want is for me to keep bumping him up. I want him to be 4 to 7 next week instead of 5 to 8 this week. So
when you say consistency who are we comparing to?
Compared to himself,
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
There's no one to compare him to because nobody has our weapons. The Eagles are the closest. Tua and Burrow kind of have, but Burrow's out anyway, so can't really talk about him.
I just feel like having weapons doesn't always guarantee you're going to have a good quarterback.
No, it absolutely doesn't. It's just
I feel like it's just an
not
easy
having
excuse.
them pretty much guarantees that you're going to have a bad quarterback. That's the thing.
I mean, Bash made a good point. He's like, our weapons aren't that superior. I'll say Christian McCaffrey's superior. I mean, what's Debo? Debo's not a top flight wide receiver.
Did you hear what they were talking about in the Thanksgiving game where they're like, dude, at the end of the play, he's like never on the ground, man. What do you think that does to a defense when they go to tackle him and they never get him on the ground? It's demoralizing. The guy is unique. He is the most deadly guy in the league with the ball in his hands. Kittle is right up there with him. But Debo is in his own class of yak. And so there's that. There's Ayuk is a great route runner. Kittle is a great blocker and a great yacker. And then, CMC is by far the best running back. He's leading the league in rushing. And he has that innate ability to, as a dump off, to always be as close as possible to the sticks and yet somehow as far as possible from a defender. And therefore, this incredible safety blanket for any quarterback. And that's the thing that really elevated Jimmy G, and I guarantee it's helping young Brock Purdy as well, too. It helps any quarterback. I mean, it was like, well, how come it didn't make Sam Darnold great in Carolina? Well, because Kyle wasn't there, and they didn't have Debo, and they didn't have Ayuk. I mean, I guess they had DJ Moore, but they didn't.
See, they're not even comparable quarterbacks, though.
Right, that's the other thing.
Brock Purdy is more talented, and he's just a better quarterback than. It has nothing to do with. If he had these weapons, I guarantee you he's not as successful as Brock.
No, I guarantee you that too.
Because I feel like
that was my thing of why I didn't want to let Trey Lance go, because I was like, if we ever need to count on Sam Darnold, we're in deep doo-doo.
I just never saw anything from Trey Lance that made us think that we made the right choice drafting him. I always felt that the Niners overdrafted him.
Not consistently, but he flashed, like I said, every game he played, and there was some moment of like mobility.
I feel like every quarterback can have one good throw. Oh, wow, he made a deep throw. That's what we're missing. He made a 60-yard throw on the rope. Yeah, but what about the other 95 throws that you need to make in a game that are nothing more than slants, crossers, checkdowns, layered
window. Chalk it up to inexperience. And maybe that's right. Maybe it's wrong. Time will tell, but maybe it won't. I mean, he needs to get an opportunity to play, so we'll see.
Brock does all the easy things really easily. And that's what makes this offense work. It's because like 85% of the throws in this offense are easy ass throws that are like totally predictable, and the Niners run them all the time. And you have to have a quarterback that can hit them.
He's also been throwing really nice deep balls lately, which is why I keep bumping him up.
I'm so like non-impressed with deep throw football because I feel like it's such a small part of an offense. Deep throws, like most quarterbacks, 85%
it is when a defense takes it away, but then when they're taking that away, they open up the run game and they open up the underneath yak. So.
I look at Brock and I don't see a guy who's overmatched, and I don't think he ever will be overmatched. Is it stupid and unfair to say he's the best or he's elite? Yeah. That's the one thing. And I think this is where it causes the biggest amount of stress between people who are Brock Purdy, and then they're Brock Purdy guys like me who just like really love him as a quarterback. Is we got to stop with the elite thing, dude. It's just it's such a small window of players that are elite in the NFL, and to me, elite is doing in the playoffs and doing in a championship type game where you have a chance either to go to a Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, and then you can get that mantra or that title. But
Mark Graves says just look at QB wins. You know my thoughts on that, don't you?
QB wins. It's not a quarterback stat.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it means something, but it doesn't mean everything, and it doesn't mean nothing. It means something, but, the easy way to debunk QB wins, the really easy way, is just to look at Matt Stafford. 12 years with the Lions, 0-3 in the playoffs. First year with the super team Rams, 4-0 in the playoffs, Super Bowl champ. Very next year, O-line falls apart, have some injuries, have some people, Whitworth retires. All of a sudden, the Rams suck again. And they suck this year too. Same quarterback, different surrounding cast, very different results. That's why I don't go off QB wins. That's why, especially on a super team like the 49ers, we are the most super team in the NFL, barring, other than QB. And even now QB is starting to look, I think you used the G word. You think you said great. You said great players, and then you said Brock Purdy. So you must think Brock Purdy's great. And I'm starting to think that.
Brian Culp. You guys could always depend on Brian Culp to show support for special teams players. He says, I want the league to recognize Mitch Wisnowski as elite. Yeah,
he is. He is elite.
He's been doing real good lately. The Niners.
He's been doing real good for a long time, but people ignored how good he was because he didn't have these booming 60-yard punts. But what he did do was kick it 45 yards and like a mile high in the air so that the coverage team had time to get down there. And while his gross, like the 60-yard punt, sounds really great, but not when you have a 25, 30-yard return because your coverage team isn't there. Compared to a 45-yard punt with zero return, the net punt, that's what you look at. Net punts, folks, the net yardage of the punt. And Wisnowski kills that. And now we're starting to see, we saw it, they were talking about it finally on Thanksgiving, the way the ball comes in, looks like it's on a
helicopter spin.
Looked like an old, vinyl record, the way those used to spin, the tips just horizontal, like a flat tabletop spinning, like a bad scene out of Top Gun. And a flat spin, they called it, right? When Goose, they ejected and Goose died, right? That's what Mitch's punts look like inside the 10-yard line. It's incredible and almost impossible to catch.
49er Minus says Kyle's most likely saw flaws and he didn't have the patience to fix them, while he had another QB who already mastered how to run the offense right off the beat. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Brock is 4 years experience in college. It's amazing. Oh man, being the last pick in the draft.
48 games compared to 17.
Yeah, yep. It matters.
And it's Division I compared to Division I AA.
Yep.
Some people like to say Division II, but that's not true.
There was a comment that almost kind of coincided with us talking about Trey Lance. Where is it? It's Mr. Joe. He says, just imagine those 3 first rounds we missed out. Those are likely 3 starters. Yeah. The Niners could have had a left tackle, corner, and I don't know, some other important player on this roster with those 3 picks that we gave up. Heck, we could have went over and got Micah Parsons if that was the case.
We could have had McGlinchey, Solomon Thomas, and Reuben Foster. We'd be going to the Super Bowl at that, wouldn't we?
Yeah, those guys are incredible. Reuben Foster. Man, that 2017 draft, if it wasn't for
Kittle. And Javon Kinlaw. If you want to throw in a 4th, could have been any of those 4. Pick 3 of those 4. Super Bowl. Give me the number 6 right now.
Javon Kinlaw. I have no words to explain how I feel about that man. He made people really popular on YouTube, though, so that's all that counts.
Let's be honest. The only first-round pick we nailed was Bosa.
Yeah.
And we've blown a ton of third-round picks. Basically every third-round pick not named Fred, and knock on wood, maybe Moody. I liked how I don't know if you noticed in the Seahawks game, we had a 4th and short around the 40-ish yard line. And it was probably a 61-yard kick or something like that. And Kyle at least tried to go for it. He was going to go for it. and we got a procedural penalty and it backed us up 5, and then we ended up punting. But I was saying to my dad and my family, we were watching the game together at my brother-in-law's house, and I was saying basically like, this is one where Moody has the leg to kick 61 yards, but they're like thinking ahead to the stretch run and the playoffs and protecting his confidence. Like, where, yeah, he could make it, but if he misses, like right now he's on another streak. Like, he started out the season perfect, right? And then Cleveland happened and the Vikings game happened, and then I think he's been perfect again since the Vikings game.
They're kind of massaging his ego right now.
They should, and it's the smart thing to do with the young kicker is like, don't put him in a situation where like missing is very fairly likely, and with a senior vet kicker, they're going to be fine because they've made enough and their confidence is there. But with a rookie, you could shatter his confidence. We could end up on another missing streak, and so I think that was smart. I really agreed with going for it there, even though, like I said, we had the procedural penalty and we ended up backing up and punting. I liked that Kyle made that decision. Most times Kyle goes for it on 4th. I like it. Let's be honest. We were clamoring for it for so many years that
we actually have a roster that supports that kind of thinking.
Yeah,
a bunch of scrubby ass guys in you don't have Trent Williams and Aaron Banks, which I will say that wasn't a topic of mine, but those two, man, what a difference having Trent Williams and Aaron Banks on that left side, man.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Feliciano at right guard.
You think he's better than?
I'm not so excited for Burford to come back. I really hope Kyle. Yeah, Burford. Feliciano did a real good job filling in for Banks when he was.
I heard
gone.
People are still calling Burford Buford.
Yeah,
Bash was letting me know they're still mispronouncing his name. Freaking idiots.
No, and that's fine. And remember last year we platooned Daniel Brunskill and Burford. I would love to see us platoon Feliciano and Burford some. Until Burford gets his man strength, and if he ever does, maybe maybe you just fully switch over to Feliciano. I don't know, but I like him. Yeah, so Bash said Feliciano might be better. Yeah. But I think you still give Burford a chance because he's young to see if he can kind of grow into it. But again, platooning allows you to keep him from getting tired. He still plays so he can advance, but you still kind of leverage the strengths of Feliciano because he's a tough guy and he's a good lineman. I'm pleasantly surprised by how he's been playing. I think it's 3 games now, or partial, at least part of 2 or 3 games that he's played. So
I wanted to get your do a little bit of a prediction here for the game on Sunday. I'll let you go first. What's your overall thought and feeling for us going into Philly, 4:00 Eastern, man? It's going to be dark and rainy and crappy weather.
Yeah, I've been saying 20-17 Niners. I think we take an early lead. I think Philly closes the gap late, but they fall just a little bit short. Not on a brotherly shove, though. If it comes down to a brotherly shove, or if it's like a back and forth slugfest for the whole game, I definitely pick the Eagles because the Eagles have won a lot of close games, and we haven't won a single effing one. So, we're front runners, and we do not win close games. Now, maybe this could be the first. I'm not saying it's impossible, but like my betting mind, my hunch.
No, that's fair.
Tells me we need to build a pretty good lead and hope that they have a slow start like they've been having lately, and pile it on. And I don't think we'll. Brock 30, Purdy for 30. I don't think we'll score over 30. I don't think the Eagles will either, though.
To go 49ers 24. Eagles 17. Close game. Niners, like you said, I think the Niners go up early. But if you listen to you look at some of the stats on Twitter and people talking about how they're a second half team and that Jalen Hurts is a second half quarterback. It's very concerning that the Niners, if the Niners, screw around with opportunities and don't score, even field goal kicks, you got to make them. This is going to be one of those games where I feel like every possession is going to matter because of how good the Eagles are and the fact that they have our Achilles heel, our kryptonite on offense, which is a quarterback that can move and scramble and get outside the pocket. That's one of the biggest problems that the Niners have had since Kyle and John took over. They don't know how to play it. So we're going to see if the Niners.
It's basically it's our defense, right? We're built around the D line. What neutralizes a D line? Mobile quarterbacks do. Great O lines do. Yep. Even not so great O lines that are allowed to hold, like the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl did.
Yep.
Yeah, those can all easily.
Especially when they wear different color gloves. Yeah.
No doubt.
I think another thing to watch too is the 49ers receivers against the secondary of the Eagles. They haven't been that great this year. There's been some injuries in their secondary, and I think the 49ers, what is it? I have it down here.
The guys I talked to, the Eagles guys, said Bradbury's been struggling.
Eagles pass defense is 32nd against covering tight ends. He said George Kittle should have a great game. So
yeah, their linebackers are a little sus.
So the Niners, no, this isn't like, we're going in there and we're barely going to be able to score 3 points. I think the Niners have a chance to score some points here, but they have to make do on their opportunities. These type of games on the road, bad weather, possible conference championship berth or a conference like home field advantage. Really, if the Niners lose this game, they're pretty much out on that. I do believe that. I don't know if you feel the same way. I think the Niners, if they lose this game,
we might be out on it even if we win. We're still counting on the Cowboys to beat the Eagles next week. And even if that happens, I still worry about the Ravens at Levi's on Christmas Day. That was, as you know, the game where I dialed it back from 12-5 to 11-6 based on that game. So there you have it.
Holy poop. 2 supers in one stream here.
There you go.
Frank.
Living large.
He says $5. He says, I think we need to enjoy the ride. That's what I said earlier. It's nice not freaking out every time the ball is thrown. No one in this century has thrown like Purdy for us. And it's
They say money can't buy happiness, Aaron, but I always say it sure can rent some fun. So
yeah, listen, Purdy's the best quarterback we've had in a long time, and I think a lot of people just need to relax and enjoy the 49ers success. And it's not going to be over. I think the Niners have a couple more years where they can build the team around him, and then they have to pay him. And will they pay him?
There you go.
Worth it. That's where I agree with Ted's wait and see approach. You got to wait. You have to wait. You don't know.
Luckily, we don't have to decide right away.
Careers aren't 2 years. Careers are 10, 12, 14 years.
That's right. We got an Eagles fan in the chat. Shownuff215 says, honestly, I think y'all take an early lead too, but who's the best team in the league when trailing? Yeah, Jalen Hurts is perfect with losing by 10 in the fourth quarter. So we'll just have to make sure we're winning by less than 10. I think that's the trick. Make it maybe winning by 7 going into the fourth. But they also show enough. I don't think any of those teams had a defense as good as the 49ers, but maybe the Chiefs. But I
appreciate you coming through, showing off, man. That's cool.
Chiefs D is
keeping it respectful.
Yeah, Chiefs D is they're good. They're no doubt real good this year. But when Frank Clark, not Frank Clark, he's gone. So they lost Frank Clark, and when Chris Jones isn't quite on his game, that D suffers. They also lost a linebacker who was real good for the year. It was the linebacker who did the scoop and score on Jalen Hurts' fumble 6 in the Super Bowl. I forget the guy's name, but I'm pretty sure he's gone for the year because I looked at the Chiefs depth chart. He's not even on the depth chart anymore, not even in red. So Chiefs D, they're not as good as Niners D. Let's be honest. Right now, the Niners have the best D in the NFL. If not the Niners, the only defense that can compete with the Niners right now is the Ravens.
Yeah, it's not a really well balanced team. I think the Eagles are a well balanced team too. I think they can win in multiple ways.
Absolutely.
All I got to say is, if you're an Eagles fan, if you're not an Eagles fan, if you're a 49ers fan, can the officials stay out of this game, please? Can we not have 10-1 Niners, 10 penalties, Eagles, like make it even at least. If we're gonna throw a bunch of laundry, either keep it even or keep it like don't throw any. Like
Keep it in
it's
your
to the
pocket.
point where like let them play. Unless it's like a literal like guys getting tackled over the middle while he's trying to catch a ball. And it's just, man, I'm watching that game with the Bills and I'm like, this is insane. They're throwing flags every play.
Yeah.
How do you watch? It's ridiculous. Like now, you're as a Niners fan, you're watching the game and you're like, oh, we just scored a touchdown. Hold on. Nope, there's flag. Like that's how it feels. That's how it feels. It happened during the Niners when we were playing the Seattle Seahawks. So my brother was like, I have a feeling the flag's coming. And like, it was mad delayed. And then all of a sudden you see flag at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, that's insane, dude. That took forever. So
I said that before the Seahawks game. I thought it'd be close, and I wouldn't be surprised if the refs jam us. But it wasn't that close. We got a little bit close, and some of the people I was with started to get nervous. And I said, let me know when they score an offensive touchdown, then I'll maybe start to get nervous because they didn't score one. So,
well, Ted, if you want to talk real quick about what's going on in your channel this week, and then maybe you can also do your you can run your ad. You can do your business here.
So let's see here. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, King DV, Behind Enemy Lines with Eagles. Also another Behind Enemy Lines with Eagles tomorrow at 12:45 with Shane Half. That'll be 3:45 Eastern. And then my usual weekly show with Big Mike from the Man Cave. We're calling it Faithful Dogs. That's at 2 p.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Eastern. And then obviously Ball with Bash and Ted every Friday at 3. Huge. And there might be one more Eagles guy. I'm trying to. It'll be like my 6th Eagles content creator this week. So my article should be pretty good. Because I've been getting a lot of inside info from these guys.
Yeah, you have anything else you want to share?
If you don't mind me doing the
go right ahead.
Pimping my sponsor, Travelstead Group. That's TTG. They do transportation and warehousing for brick and mortar. They do FFE, which is fixed furniture equipment. They do OSE, which is operating supplies and equipment. They do new store openings, rollouts, relocations, decommissions. From the first mile to the final mile and everywhere in between, Travelstead has you covered. Let us know how they can help you by air, ocean, or land. Closed loop solutions for retail and hospitality. Nick and Henry are the guys to go to there. They have 100% US-based support, so you're not going to end up in some call center overseas where they don't have no clue what you and your business do. Check out the website. It's in the description of this show, my YouTube About page, my Twitter, X bio, and Instagram and Facebook. If you follow me there, click the link, watch the video, tell us what they do. Make sure you tell them Ted sent you. Thanks in advance, and thank you for letting me pay the bills, Aaron. I appreciate it.
No problem. I should be on with Bash. Hopefully, we've been doing Saturday before I got sick. And then tomorrow I should be on with Raj. I would almost be willing to do like a super show where I have the two of them on a Saturday. My guy Raj is always super busy, and so I always have to play it by the way his schedule goes. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing this YouTube thing maybe through the end of the year, and then reevaluating after if I'm going to come back next year. Just been doing a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, a lot of really like thinking of whether I want to do this after this year, just because put a lot of time into it. Things haven't exactly turned into what I wanted them to be, and there's a lot of you out there who do real good, Ted included, that we don't need Aaron. So, but I don't know. We'll see.
That's not true.
I might change up the format, maybe not do live shows anymore. I might do like pre-recorded stuff. But it's definitely something to think about. It's good for my mental health if I kind of make a decision on this stuff.
That's the most important thing. But definitely, I mean, dude, you were my first ever show, and you've been here every Wednesday. So, part of my success is due to you. Absolutely, a big part. So, I hope you decide to stick with it. But at the same time, I hope you just do what's best for you. Whatever that is best.
I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't know what that is yet. I teeter back and forth with this decision. You know, for people who have big channels that, you know, get a shit ton of views and stuff, like none of those people care. Like you leave, you come, whatever. Because we don't really have that big of a footprint like they do. But, you know, for the, 14 people that watch me, they actually might notice. But like it's not like me disappearing is going to make this massive hole, except for the people that I know. And so that's kind of like where the pressure is like disappointing the people that actually know me. Prayers up for Corey Davis. I just found out via the text in the chat that he's in the hospital. So hopefully he gets better. I know Corey deals with a lot of health issues. So prayers up, Corey. Got to get that Eagles victory for you this Sunday, man, as a get well present. So everybody in the chat, thanks for coming through. Thanks for being understanding with this whole COVID ridiculousness. I hope my voice didn't annoy you too much. We'll be back next Wednesday, hopefully, to talk about a 49ers victory over the Eagles. And Frank, did Frank drop another one? Thank you so much. He says, "Don't go, Aaron. You're the GOAT, but do what's best." I appreciate that, man. It's just I don't know. I don't know what the decision is. I really don't. I've been talking to my therapist about it. Honestly, I told him I don't want to keep doing it because it's just, I told him the situation. You all know what the situation is, guys who follow me. You know my issues with YouTube and whatever. But at the same time, like you said, you've developed some relationships that you don't want to see go. So thank you, Frank, Tom. Appreciate your generosity today. Everybody have a great rest of your evening. And me and Ted will see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace. Go Niners.